your tinfoil hat all made and cinched down tight over your ears. So take it away, Dave and Mackie.
I'm Dave.
And I am Mackie.
I like how I'm Mackie is like one M. Just I'm Mackie. I love it.
That's right, baby. Right?
And you know what? This is Shiny Side Out. It is what it is. Broadcasting from Australia for Revolution Radio on revolution.radio. That's the website name. That is home to fresh ideas. Buy some merchandise or donate to support the station if you like anything we say. Join us in the chat room. I'm in there now. I'm sure Mackie will be, so shortly. And you can talk to us while we are on air. This is show number 661.
160 and 600. Seriously, what?
You got that straight. And this is the 10th. No, yeah, it's the 10th of November. We're rocketing into this whole year's gone by like so fast, but we're rocketing into that. Tomorrow is Remembrance Day.
Yes.
So
Yes.
do remember all the fallen, just do that. My family has a whole bunch, so maybe your family does too. I'm going to say, Mackie, straight away, finish the intro. Tune in to us online on your smart device directly via an app, or listen at home on a Grace tabletop digital radio. You can do that. I don't know who Solara's had on today. I couldn't even hear her show on, which is really weird. I tried to tune in. She said Bill Brown was her guest tonight, discussing his new med bed. Fantastic. My daughter has one of the beds that, the feet go up, the head goes up, you can make it flat, you know what I mean? Like it's got all the controls, She sits in it like this clamshell. It's really crazy. I don't know how she does it, but she enjoys it. And geez, it costs some coin. I'll tell you, they're not cheap, and they're not free either. Even if you have medical problems, so what are you supposed to do? So you can access the station's archives for free. Now, the files of every host show are all there in an MP3 format. It sounds a little old school, but you know what? It's tremendous because they're tiny. The files are tiny, and you can download them and binge as much as you like. Do check out Solaris's fantastic show lineup. She has a guest every week, and it's fantastic. Great person, very skilled interviewer. She's written a book, she's done a video, she's got 2 radio shows. Fantastic. Get out there and catch up on what you've missed out. Now, Mackie and I have our archives both on the station, and we have them in YouTube. And there's a bit, maybe I might talk about that in a minute, but I'm kind of hesitant too. But I'm broadcasting, because I'm in Australia, I'm broadcasting out of Darkinjung country. Mackie, where are you?
I'm in Direct country.
And I think that people understand why I've got to ask, because before COVID, Mackie could have been anywhere. Anywhere. And for, 6 months of the year before this one, I might have been down in Melbourne or up looking after my father. So in other countries. Not countries, but other areas, geographical areas. So because we live in Australia, we acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land from which we broadcast. Mackie. Crazy.
That's what they call me.
Yeah. Crazy. I mentioned the archives. And we've just had 4 of our shows removed, deleted. The advice...
Not recent shows. Not recent
No.
shows.
So where it showed, this is week number 661, today's show. Week number. So, we had I kid you not, from 2016, 2017, 2014, and 2021. We had 4 videos, let's call them unrealistically labeled by, I don't even understand how, by YouTube, yeah, as providing medical misinformation. From back in 2014, 2016, 17, and 2021, 4 shows. But these weren't news shows at all. One was about George Orwell, one was about the quantum mind, another was fiat currency, and the other one was the parasitic class that rules us. Look, it's beyond belief. One of them was at 4 seconds in, they said, the timeline. Oh, here's where, the problem was. And Meki was only reading the intro.
Clearly, it's a bad way. Bad reading. Bad.
Bad. Yeah, well, that's the way to critique us, I suppose. Now, I've appealed for each one. One of them is already gone. But I've got a local copy of each of them. And the problem is, as soon as I get something like that from YouTube, I just put it straight on Rumble. And I ask people, look, at this timestamp, you tell me what's wrong with what we said. Now, the WHO, misinformation and all of that stuff that they're claiming we're saying, which we're not. Even when you hear, I'm not going to repeat any of the words, but when you hear what we've said, because that's certainly going to make this one get deleted. So when you hear what we've actually said, and you take into context the entire sentence, we're asking a question, we're doing thought experiments, yeah, by postulating something. We're at no time are we speaking from a position of a medical person. We're not medically trained. We're not providing people advice to do something which would be against their health. We're not doing any of those things at all. Not even in the slightest. And I'm going to say, what's misinformation? I've got to say. Well, let's think about the flat Earth is allowed to continue to prattle on its rubbish on YouTube indefinitely. Prattle. And I like the word prattle because there's nothing truthful about any of it. Is it because it's only a distraction, I wonder? Is that how simple this whole problem is? Because look, I'll tell you, there was... I don't want to go into any detail of any of the videos. Make your mind up. You look for us on Rumble under Shiny Side Out, and you'll see, 7 or 8 videos in there that over time YouTube have just decided, we said something bad, whatever. We've never had an appeal revoked. Like, they've never gone, oh yeah, no, you're actually right. No, you weren't at fault. It was us, our bad. They never do that. And it's like, arguing with an AI in the future. And imagine this, like another thought experiment, right? So you imagine this. You've been pulled up on the street by some AI robot police, robot. And they have a virtual judge, jury, and executioner role as well as just policing, because policing at the moment, we have a process, and that's going to go out the window, right? At some point it'll be you have been charged with this, you are guilty, and would you wish to appeal? Yes. Denied. And that's it. There's a button that says appeal, and you do. And I've even written explanation. I said, these are the words we're saying. This is it here. I've even mentioned the flat Earth. Prattling on. You don't stop them. There shouldn't be any rules at all. I agree. I don't like it, but I agree that flat Earth is a preposterous idea. It once wasn't, and yes, it's a great way of being able to filter out the completely stupid, but that's all right. Right? It's okay. Free speech. I believe in it. I believe in free speech. Now, they shouldn't be hateful on me for being able to look at the night sky and prove them wrong immediately. But did you know, Meccy, in December, flat earthers, a select few of them, are being fully funded to go to Antarctica and watch the sun traverse the entire horizon without setting once. Do you know this?
I didn't. I had heard there was an expedition. I didn't know they were fully funded, but am I surprised?
They are fully funded. Fully funded. And what's going to happen is they've been asked that if they can see the sun orbit the Earth in its entirety without interruption, then they must concede that the flat disk Earth, you must be able to see the sun from everywhere all the time, or it's wrong. And they have to concede the flat Earth.
Correct. I mean, that logically speaking, that yeah. I mean, the thing that the truth is this: with flat Earth, it falls down at winter and summer.
Yeah.
Because winter and summer is what happens is apparently the sun jumps magically further away from the Earth in winter and closer in summer. That's how they explain winter and summer. You can't explain.
Atomic shells, Becky. Look, there you go. I'm helping you, pork chops, right?
Yeah, but the real reason, of course, for seasons is the 23.5 degree tilt
of the Earth,
of the axis of the axis
and
of Earth.
It's a sphere. That helps.
Well, that's yeah. Well, it's sort of it is not a perfect sphere. I want to say it is.
No,
it is
an
sort of
oblique
flat
spheroid. It's called an oblate spheroid.
Correct.
Yep.
It's flattened at the poles and it sort of bulges at the equator, so it's not exactly
middle age,
but it's not a pancake. It's not a pancake.
So like I said, and I support their. Despite I don't agree with it, and I think that everyone that following it should take a good look at themselves, but they have the right to believe it, and they have the right to prattle on with it, and that's fine. I don't really care. I don't actually care. I don't wake up in the middle of the night, bolt upright in bed, going, "Oh my God!" Right? I don't hate on them. And free speech is a thing. And if you don't like it, don't listen to it. And we should be more attuned to being able to, I'm going to use the word tune twice in a sentence and I hate it, tune it out. It's unnecessary to worry you, whoever you are, about someone else's speech. It doesn't matter what they're saying. And that's the definition of free speech. We have all been mollycoddled so much and going down an ever-reducing width of conversations to, of course, in Australian government's wishes, it is that there is only one truth. And that bill is soon to pass. And I wish it wasn't, but that's where it's going to be, right? England is there. The US, well, I think let's say you did a Trump and you dodged a bullet. Because free speech it's written into your constitution. Here we don't have it at all. We don't have anything that specifically points out that you have, free speech at all. So since you don't, then the government, at the moment, the right in Australian Parliament has a viewpoint of, well, I agree that you should only be on the internet as yourself, and that has a whole bunch of problems in that at the moment and going forward. You can't hide behind a moniker. You can't hide behind a fake account and just vomit out your whatever you believe or argument or taunts at other people. You can't say whatever you want And they believe, just like if it was in newsprint or it's on television, you should be able to be sued if you say the wrong things. But of course, the Parliament have their own rules, and parliamentary privilege means that they can't be. They're exempt from the rule. So the people making the rules aren't affected by the rules. Of course, it doesn't matter to them. It's an oligarchy if I've ever heard it.
That's the truth.
So, Mickey, my rant is done, and welcome to Shiny Side Out, everyone.
Look, it was upsetting, and I only learned about it just earlier before the show. I mean, a few shows have been taken off prior to this for various reasons. And again, I want to state here very clearly, we are not medical doctors. When we are quoting anything medically relevant, it is coming from medical magazines. The Lancet is our most preferred source.
Mm-hmm.
Same goes when we quote studies, which might get us into hot water, because in the second hour we will discuss medical experiments.
Help!
Human medical experiments. And again, these are not opinions we are stating. These are well-known experiments, other research from other sources, and quite horrendous, actually. So just to be clear, we're not making stuff up here. It's not. In fact, you couldn't make this stuff up if you tried. It's just, it's just incredible. But having said that, I mean, there's a few other things. Now, I just want to say one thing here. I want to be very clear. I don't care for any billionaires or politicians. Full stop. I just don't. There's something wrong with you if you're either a billionaire or a politician. There's something very fundamentally, deeply wrong with you. So I find it amazing, and I really do, that people think that a billionaire is going to save them from, well, whatever, right? In order to become a billionaire, you have a certain mindset here. So yes, Donald Trump has won the presidency, and good luck to him, well done. But he is not your friend. Okay, Elon Musk is not your friend. Okay, none of these people are your friends. Bill Gates is not your friend. Okay, they see you as, well, I guess a necessary evil in the best case scenario, right? Worst case scenario, you're completely surplus to requirement. That's how they view other people.
Well, wait for AI and robotics to replace us, then we'll be completely surplus.
Let me just be very... Okay, I've been in the corporate world for...
35 plus?
Oh,
yep.
my God. That's right.
Don't do the math. Don't do the math.
That's scary.
Warning, Will Robinson.
A long time. And in senior management for quite some time as well, and I've dealt with even more senior management. And anyway, the point is this. The greatest dream a corporation has, and when I say corporation, I mean the people that are sitting right at the top getting all the big bonuses, making all the big bucks. The greatest dream they have is to dispense with labor altogether. There's nothing more pesky than a labor force. Now, this just seems to fly in the face of things. And the truth, I want to just unpack this for a second. It'll take me about 5 minutes, then we move on to something else. But see, the funny thing is this, right? These people are in the business of making money. Corporations are in the business of making money. Capitalism is in the business of making money. That's really all it is. It's just making more money. Profit, profit, profit. That's all that's driving it. There's nothing else driving it. No concern for the environment. No, corporate good citizen, etc., etc. None of that. If I can avoid paying tax, I will. I'll move to a tax haven. I'll move my corporate offices elsewhere. I will move my labor force somewhere else. I will move in labor forces that I can pay less than I have to pay the native people, etc., etc., etc. I will do this because I want to maximize my profit. Full stop. And if I can replace people with nothing, I mean, we used to replace people with machines in the old days, like Industrial Revolution. Machines came along, etc. This is fundamentally different.
I mean, an example, Mackie, is the typing pool was a photocopier.
Correct. Now, that's well, these days it is, or print room. But the point is this: see, the population grew sufficiently that other things became necessary. Yes, you didn't need the typists anymore, but you needed people in other professions. Like there was an explosion in the travel industry, for example, right? There was an explosion in the services industry. There was an explosion in other related industries where people could find employment.
Okay, so when you're saying the word explosion, you mean that they suddenly became infinitely prosperous.
There were a lot more jobs available because
That's right.
there were knock-on effects. There was a massive increase in employment elsewhere. It just happened that way, right? And not only that, but the population also grew significantly. And that led to more economic growth because you need housing. And see, as soon as you have to build infrastructure, houses, you've got this whole plethora of other jobs like, hospitals and infrastructure, roads, trains, planes. You need supermarkets, you need schools, you need daycare. And you're creating, the more the population grows, the more jobs will be there, just as a knock-on effect. This is the first time, however, that we have two things are coming together. One, we've got a decline of population in what we call first world nations. That's a real thing, okay? And I think that's going to get a lot worse. And secondly, we're not seeing the creation of jobs alongside the efficiencies, they're called, we're gaining by deploying AI, automation, scripting, etc. So we used to go to a labor market that was cheaper. So we created a whole economy and gave jobs to millions of people in other countries other than our own, right?
Offshoring, if you don't know the term. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's something that really hit first world nations really hard, right? Mm-hmm. And a lot of unskilled labor, whether even skilled or simple skilled or entry-level jobs, simply disappeared. That's it, they're gone. What we're seeing now is fundamentally different. The people that are being made redundant because they have been replaced by, let's call it AI, by scripting, automation, anything, but not another human, and not a physical machine either. I mean, we're talking about computers really replacing us, right? And like I said before as well, this is the first time ever that we have competed with a machine for vital resources vital for our survival, electricity and water. Yeah. First time ever, never. We've never ever competed with anyone for water or electricity. Now we are. And what we're doing now is we're destroying people that have, they're fairly skilled people, in their jobs, professionals, etc. And they don't find a job because, again, population isn't growing that much. We're not really building that many things. Our infrastructure isn't really growing that much. But what we're seeing as well, which makes it worse, we're seeing profiteering. So people are losing their jobs, not having other sources of income. And then on top of that, right, we're not creating any jobs to replace the jobs that we destroyed. And even more so, we are now profiteering from the scarcity. Well, there's bonuses. And so we're talking about the cost of living crisis. Let's talk about that just for a second. What does it mean? Low cost of living crisis. What it means is that people have trouble providing the basic necessities of life. That's what it means. Cost of living crisis. No, we're not talking luxuries. We're not talking, flying to the Maldives for 6 weeks or Bora Bora or having champagne and caviar for breakfast every day. We're talking about, the staples and rent and heating and lighting, etc., etc. That's what we're talking about. Now, but you ask me, why is that? How's that? How could that be possible? Oh, inflation. Well, that's not true entirely. It's a very complex web, but there's some very simple reasons why this is happening. Number one is profiteering. People are putting prices up because they can and no one is stopping them. That's number one. That's the biggest culprit. And a grocery chain is making billions of dollars in profits.
That's right.
Billions. While there's a cost of living crisis, right? The resources companies, billions. Banks, billions. This is Australia, but the world overall is not different. And then, on top of that, the government refuses to step in. So in most countries, the central banks, whatever shape they might take, have really very few tools at their disposal. And in Australia,
interest rates.
That's it, Dave. That's all they have here in Australia.
I love that pedal. That's a great pedal.
Yeah, it's like trying to
drive a car
trying to
with
change a set of wheels on a car with the water pistol. Well, what? This is a completely wrong tool. Oh, is it? Is it really? Is it? Oh, well, thank you for telling me. So interest rates are not the tool. The only thing in our structure of existence as we have created it for ourselves, the only thing that we can do or should hope is being done for us is government intervention. Government has to sit down and fix prices. Government has to sit down and peg the value of currency. Government has to sit down and punish criminal behavior, none of which is happening. The government, in fact, the funny thing is this, I've been calling for this for a long time now, but who am I? Now, for the last few months, I hear, senior economists, analysts calling for the same thing. Government has to step in. Mm-hmm. What? Really? Really? Yeah. So, and the funny thing is this: as more and more of wealth is sort of, I guess, captured or shifted to let's call it the top 0.01%, right? Mm-hmm. What I like to call the parasitic class, but many other people call the elite, whatever. As you concentrate more wealth at the top, and you suck it out of the middle and the bottom. Well, the bottom is pretty bad off anyway. But let's say you suck it out of the middle. You're creating a top-heavy pyramid. So the pyramid, the pinnacle of the pyramid is now the heaviest part. What will happen is...
We have to make one of these in real life, Mickey. It'd be unreal.
I think we should. What happens is it will flip, it will collapse. It's not a viable shape. Mm-hmm. It can't work, and it hasn't in the past, because this has happened before. People say, I don't want to know about history. It has happened before. And empires that were run this way have collapsed, because you can't have the wealth of a nation, of a world, of an empire concentrated at the top with nothing for the people below. You can't do it, but that's exactly where we're going, 100%. I'll just say one word here, right? French Revolution. Mm-hmm. French Revolution, yeah? Roman Empire, yeah. That's another one. So this is a real problem, and it's a real... See, this is what I find astounding, Dave, because this is coming at us like a freight train. And we talk about climate change, so we should, because we see the flooding and all the terrible things. That's important. Yeah. But nobody's talking about the economic catastrophe that is racing down the road to hit us, like I said, like a freight train.
Well, no one's looking out the front window, Mickey. Yeah. They're all looking out the side, either waving at people, or they're
I'm on the train! Woo-hoo!
Look at this! Yeah.
But you know what happens is this, because the thing is this, right? And I saw this really beautiful cartoon recently. There are three bankers or whatever, capitalists sitting around the table. And they go, this is great, we're making so much money, our profits are huge, we don't need any more people, we fire them all. And then one of the bankers becomes pensive and looks around and goes to his buddies, if they're all unemployed, who's going to buy our stuff? Mm-hmm. And that is, of course, the crux of it, because if you take the purchasing power away from people, you destroy the economy. Now,
that's right.
That, in my opinion, is something they want to do, because guess what? Do you know what happens after the economy collapses? We enter a feudal system of government.
That's right.
Oh, that's right. It's called the Great Reset, in case you didn't know. You will own nothing, just like the feudal peasants owned nothing.
That's
Everything was owned by the lords of the manor, right?
Whose castle is this?
That's right. And you won't even have to work, because all the work's done somewhere else by someone else, or machines, or algorithms. And you'll just be happy. Or not, as the case may be. I'm laughing because it is so ludicrous, you think it couldn't happen. But that's exactly where we're headed. And nobody wants to talk about it. I told you, about 5 minutes, right? 10 minutes? There you go.
Yeah, you did great. You did great. So, the genius, Mickey, of Monty Python, to show us how this would be, old man, sorry, what knight lives in that castle over there? I'm 37. What? I'm 37, I'm not old. Well, I can't just call you man. Well, you could say Dennis. Well, I didn't know your name was Dennis.
You didn't
We didn't bother to find out. That's right. I did say sorry about the old woman, but from behind you looked... All right, so what I object to is automatically treat me like an inferior. Well, I am king. I love that. That is probably the most poignant of all of their work. they didn't know it back in the 70s when they did it for £12,000, filmed that movie, incredibly. It would cost, 40 million, 50 million today. Crazy, right? But when I keep hearing those words and it echoes, like The Simpsons, there's some situation in real life that The Simpsons is valid for. There's a quote or some situation they've done. But this is the same. The Great Reset means that to be able to continue the economy in some way without destroying the banks, because they won't truly have a role anymore, which they don't know about yet. They don't. Because if currency is just going to be digitally created and you could just type it in, someone has to have the database that has all of that in it. There won't be many of them. There'll probably only be one, and it could be global. Could be. What do I know, right? There won't be currency, there won't be trading, there'll be nothing like that. All of that, the value of everything disappears, and the only people that have any money, and this separation of who has money and who hasn't got money, the value of the people with the money only have the lording capabilities if we can never get there and we still exist. Without us, they don't lord over anybody. And they don't have any point to anything. They become worthless. There's no comparative wealth. And that's what I see is truly happening. So the CDBC or Universal Basic Income, it doesn't matter what the form of it, what it's called, it doesn't matter. Credits, it doesn't really matter anymore. And watching the transition from our current economy into that one is, dissolving away people's jobs, forcing more people into the group of either unemployed or desperately unemployed. Hello, waving. And, food stamps if you're in America or here, buying food from the food bank. There's barely enough ability to hold your head above water with mortgage payments. They're all incredible. It's insane. I've never seen it like this. I really haven't. But to be able to maintain the economy through the transition that poses its own unique problems around being able to maintain everything at the same time as moving away from their way of life or the way we used to do it. Now, I've postulated this for some time, and I believe that the only way to do it is to sign over your worldly possessions for an income derived purely from the government under a CDBC, where they just type numbers in, because that doesn't make any difference anymore. The fiat currency system is just stored effort, where you can use it anywhere, but if you've got a universally accepted CDBC, central bank digital currency, then it doesn't matter anymore. The stored credit thing goes away, and they're just providing you credit to spend. But it's not going to be, you could never be wealthy ever again. You could never have an aspirational desire to do something, because there won't be change left over from your UBI, Universal Basic Income. The banks don't lose value on the property, because it then goes, the government would then sign it up, and then they'd be putting it into an institutionalized value credit system. And it doesn't make any difference what happens from that point on. As long as you're still buying things from the producers, whoever they are, whatever it is, then the economy keeps rolling. Now, we'll beg for it. Like, people beg for a personal monitoring device. Oh, that's right, your cell phone. People beg for that, right? They'll
line up for it, Dave, for days.
Around the block for days to get the new one, for some reason.
It's insane. It's insane.
There's conversations at the moment in technical news where they're using earbuds or other technology, headphones or the phone itself, to attempt to read your brainwaves so that we don't have to type into the phone anymore. Now, look, pre-crimes or thought crimes or whatever, you think about all the worst case scenarios that come from science fiction. Is it possible that that could be in our future? I'm not going to say no.
We know the tech exists. We've done shows on this.
Mm-hmm.
Very unsettling information, to be honest. If I want to be,
if you're going to be
honest about this for a second, it's very, very unsettling. And the things we found that had actually been done, and that can be done. So it's not idle speculation here. Saying things like, something like pre-crime or possibility. Can we do this? Is mind control a possibility? The answer is absolutely yes. It's not only a possibility; it's a high probability that this kind of technology is going to be used.
Yeah.
For control purposes, obviously, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Not at all, my friend.
Yeah. Well, I know that probably 15 years ago there were American fighter pilots training in simulators just wearing a headband without a control stick.
Mm-hmm.
And they were attempting to have the pilots fly and battle in a simulator without doing anything but just thinking about it. And that was, I never saw the end of the research because they cut it off, but or it went underground, I don't know, but they were becoming quite successful at doing it. So who what's really happening there? Hey, Mickey, I'm not sure if you've seen it, but dragons, how they're mentioned in almost every country has a dragon
mm-hmm.
in its history of some kind, in some story. Well, I heard about this dragon drone that they have flying over troops currently in a conflict. I'm not saying which one, you can look it up yourself. But what it's doing is it initiates a thermite reaction in a cauldron and is flying the cauldron over, say, dense bushland that might be hedgerows, from World War II, for an example. And it's dripping, molten metal out of the cauldron. And I know white phosphorus is not allowed against troops. You can use it to illuminate the sky or something like that, but you can't use it. It's banned, right? It's banned. And this no doubt will fall into the same category, I would imagine. But instead of napalm or Agent Orange to get rid of the foliage, this appears to be human controlled and is dripping this stuff, which ends up burning the bush. It's like, wow. Now, remember that as someone who enjoys how I look at this not enviously, and I don't derive a pleasure from it, but I admire when someone innovates and then someone counters that innovation, and then rinse and repeat, and then suddenly we've got jet fighters from a board with a stick with a nail in it. This is one of those, yet another time in modern era where we have another level of innovation, which is just it's beyond what I thought people would do. It isn't something that I would have ever thought that I would see. If you had a castle in the olden days, you could boil the oil and tip it on the people who were climbing up with the ladders, right? It's kind of a very old school, but yeah, sure. This is kind of similar, and I don't know. The Geneva Convention making on warfare says you can and can't do whatever, right?
That's really funny, Dave. I didn't know you. Well, for anyone who didn't know, Dave is pursuing a career in stand-up comedy. It's part of his act. This Geneva
I'll
Convention.
be here all week.
It's wonderful you should say this, because we are going to talk about, like I said, medical experiments on humans in the second hour of the show. And we've got about 77 pages of show notes to get through.
Not a record, but we're good.
Oh, it's up there.
It's up there.
And I thought, to your point, because look, the Geneva Conventions are meant to regulate warfare as much as possible, right? I mean, how you should get, how prisoners of war should be treated, etc., and a whole bunch of other stuff. Now, in the olden days, the way people got around this was Guantanamo Bay, and they just called them, well, these are not enemy combatants or enemy soldiers.
That's right.
They were called something else, right? Illegal combatants or whatever they were called. Okay, they were not soldiers of another nation.
The description that the rule was for.
Correct.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So we can do whatever we want. Plus, they're not on American soil, so we can do what we want. And that's pretty much what happened in Guantanamo Bay and other extraction
And
sites.
held indefinitely. Waterboarding.
No, absolutely. until the end of time. Anyway, so we've done this, right? And it was called what was the word for it? It'll come to me in a second. But the point is, these conventions can be circumvented. You can find ways to not adhere to the letter of the agreement, and of course that's what's happening more and more often. Davis right, white phosphorus is not allowed. So are many other things, and neither was Agent Orange. But we didn't use it against people. We just used it against the trees. Just the trees. The trees. We're not doing it to the people. I mean, the people are there. That's their fault. I didn't tell the people to be there. And what's really funny? The Geneva Conventions also specifically say that you should not target civilians, specifically, right? I mean, of course, you can't always help it, and it's war, and it's horrible and horrific, but they should not be targeted specifically, or civilian infrastructure for that matter. Now, we see both happen in the Middle East as well as in Ukraine, where civilian infrastructure is being targeted specifically. And a rendition, that's the word I was looking for. when you undergo rendition, you can take you anywhere you want. Where you going? Yeah, it doesn't matter anymore. It's just a deep, dark hole they're going to throw you in. So we're seeing, in fact, apparently most of the people killed in the conflict, certainly in Lebanon, have been women and children. In Gaza, women and children. I'm not disputing that Hamas and Hezbollah militants were killed. Obviously they were. But the vast majority of people killed were women and children. So you have to ask yourself, is this something that we condone? Recently, there was this football match in Holland, and people were shouting anti-Semitic slogans for the attending Israeli fans. Mm-hmm. And they were, people were getting attacked and beaten. Israeli people, I should say, not Jewish people, Israeli people. And I'm thinking to myself, of course that's wrong. It's wrong in anyone's. It's always wrong. But I get it. I understand why it happened. It's not that I'm condoning it, but I can see, anti-Semitism is as old as, the Jewish people themselves, really. Mm-hmm. And it has never really gone away in Europe, right? People said, no, it hasn't. Trust me on this, it hasn't. And all of a sudden, these right-wing groups feel they have the public on their side to some extent, right? Oh, well, Israel is committing genocide, and South Africa has taken it to the international court, and the international court has said, yes, it is genocide. So all of a sudden, these right-wing groups go, well, see, we told you all along. We told you. And you see this violence erupt. Would you condone it? No, you wouldn't. But it's a reality. And this reality was created by the Israelis themselves. No one else created that reality. They created it. By the response to the October attacks, which has been over a year now, by the way. So to say this, it's been a year. So if you can't get rid of the problem in a year, and in fact, it'll never be good. It won't stop until there are no Palestinians left in Gaza. Full stop. Or in southern Lebanon, 30 kilometers from the northern Israeli border, or the West Bank for that matter. That's when this will end. And like we discussed this, Dave, they just let go the Israel defense minister because he wanted an inquiry as to what happened in October last year. What happened? Right.
Yeah.
It's like 9/11. It's a catastrophic failure of our intelligence. How is this possible? How could we have so catastrophically failed? Good question. Now,
That's what he asked. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and look where he's now. Bye-bye. We don't need you anymore, friend. Off you go. And that alone should ring all the alarm bells. I know this will probably demonetize. This might be banned. I'm sorry, Dave. This might be deleted from YouTube. But what are you gonna do?
Hello, Rumble.
Hello, Rumble.
Mm-hmm.
It's upsetting in many ways, right? And in fact, Israel has spent its empathy and sympathy capital faster than George W. Bush did in 9/11. They burned through it faster than he did. I didn't think it was possible, because the whole world was outraged at the attacks, of course, and so the world should be horrendous, barbaric, right? But it didn't take long for the world to go, hey, Israel, wait a second here. And I'm saying Israel. I'm not saying the Jewish people, because the two are not the same. The two are not the same. It's like saying all Catholics are Italian. Is that true? No, it's not.
No.
A lot of Italians are Catholics, right? And a lot of Catholics are Italian. But that doesn't mean all Italians are Catholics. All Catholics are Italian.
That's right. All oranges aren't apples, I'll tell you that much.
That's there you go, right? So let's be very clear what we're talking about. So the Israelis burned through their social credit very, very fast. And now they're at the point where they are being accused of genocide. They're being accused of indiscriminate warfare. And the thing is this: it seems like Netanyahu doesn't care about anything but his political survival. That's it. Not only that, did you know they started bombing Baalbek and Tyre, the ancient sites?
Oh, please, no, Mickey. No,
yeah,
I'm
telling
backwards and forwards.
I've
crawled under my desk in a fetal position, saying, "Uh-oh,
right.
That's the end of
absolutely
history."
Because people were sheltering there because they thought, oh well, these are UNESCO-listed sites, so clearly they're more valuable than human life, so let's shelter them. Israelis specifically targeted the ruins at Baalbek, specifically.
Do you know, Mickey, every one of the ancient sites that are all ruined, I kept thinking to myself for my whole life, even up until this very second, why would you destroy an ancient site? Aha.
And why would you not excavate one that is there? But rather postpone it for 100 years.
75 years. We could do it later.
Later.
We had to plant trees on it all so the roots can just tear it all up. That's what we want.
So ask yourself, what is it that we're trying to cover up here? And this interestingly, while we're doing that in Europe and in the Middle East, while we're doing it here, the opposite is happening in South America, where we're finding more and more evidence of a massive, well, maybe even several massive cultural, centers and peoples that we just didn't think existed, full stop. And a lot of people are now coming around to, remember I said this years ago, I think the entire Amazon was parkland. Right? Because it makes sense to me. All the things that have been found, and now they are saying the same thing. The official guardians of our wisdom are saying, we're thinking maybe the Amazon was some kind of parkland.
That's right. It was totally inhabited.
And it just makes you angry, right? When you're fighting all your life for something to be at least heard, and then the Muppets that denied you turn around and say, that's right. Look, we said this. We have in fact found out that's what it is. No, you haven't. No, you haven't.
No, you haven't.
Fawcett.
Right. Yeah.
Major Fawcett and other Amazonian explorers, Graham Hancock and people before him, and all the people on the ground, all the archaeologists in the ground in Asia, in America, all of them, they're doing the hard yards. The people in the
field. None of them are correct, Mickey. It was us. It was not you and me, but it was them.
Yeah.
It was the people at the top that goes, look, we knew all along,
Yeah, we have to destroy their careers. That's how incorrect they were. We had to destroy all of their careers. Now, these are not kooks, tinfoil hat wearing Muppets like Dave and I. These were, accredited archaeologists whose careers were destroyed. There was an article removed from an archaeological magazine because the archaeological establishment didn't like it. This was around the structure in Indonesia.
That's right.
Oh, no, we don't like it. And I followed this very closely, and the reasons were very spurious that were given for removing it, and then there was a defense, a rebuttal by the people that actually worked there on the site and wrote the article, which didn't receive a response, but it addressed all the points that were raised as concerns, and said no, blah blah blah, and the article has not been reinstated. This is systematic knowledge modification. It's called censorship, in case you didn't know. Let's call it knowledge modification. Yeah, that's better. That'll work.
Yeah, hello to all my YouTube overlords. Just be kinder to us, would you? It's killing me. It's killing me here. Yeah. So look, we're only a couple of minutes away from the top of the hour, and coming up in the next hour, we're going to be talking about human medical experiments from history. And I think I might leave the show notes on the screen as we're reading them.
Yeah.
Because we do have references in there, and you can look at it up yourself. You can look at it, just take the time to get in there and have a look. But anyway, saying all of that, and putting our opinions forward, coming from the hip. This is a radio show. I don't need to tell the people who listen to this on the radio, and a simple archive for prosperity is thrown up onto YouTube. Now, I'd be happy if, we don't have a very big viewership on YouTube, and if you do happen across this at some point in the future, do like, share, comment, and subscribe to all of our stuff. Tell people about it, and then come to revolution.radio and listen to the shows live. There are not just us, but all the other hosts. It's a great platform. And thank you to Nighthawk, our sadly departed. He taught us stuff, Mickey, that then came true. He told us to prepare. He told us about all of the rights being eroded away. He said everything that you need to do to survive. And the other one is, you build a community. Build a community where you live. Don't be anonymous. Understand people's skills, because you may need them. If you start having conversations with your neighbours, maybe you can work together to survive and bring something else. Just like the Amish, Mickey. Just like the Amish.
Just like the Amish. Yeah, the Mennonites, the Amish, they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
They know what they're doing.
And do we? Not really. We live on electricity, and without it, we're gone. YouTube wouldn't exist, Mickey, without electricity.
Isn't it the truth? Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, the changing of the guard in the US is the thing. There's already rhetoric coming out. I know we've only got 1 minute. So all I'm going to do is say, if you don't believe the current or the newly elected president is the right for the country, wait 4 years and vote. Just wait.
Oh, yeah. That's everybody. I mean, no, he was elected by the majority. In fact, the popular vote, as well as the colleges.
That's right.
And the colleges is like 312 or something. Really?
Yeah.
I mean, massive.
Yep.
So if in 4 years' time, exercise your right to vote in someone else, knock yourself out. But like it matters. Kodos and Kang. It matters.
If you can find another way to exchange long-strand proteins, I'd like to hear it.
I'd like to hear it. Kang and Kodos. It doesn't matter who you vote for. No, it doesn't. It really doesn't. But you know what? It's a nice distraction. It really
isn't it?
Is the break? Is the break still broken?
Music, yeah. No, it's working fine. So we're going to end this YouTube channel's video and then come back with another one for our show topic, which is human medical experiments. And in the meantime, take the time to donate, have a toilet break, and we'll be back soon.